welcome into Blessed Be World News and Entertainment. Do you know that life is full of different seasons and different periods? Alright, after months in prison, I would like to show you the Igbo politician that was well welcomed in his home state after spending a very long time in prison. Okay, do you know, as I asked, life is full of different seasons and different periods. Hardly will you see a person who hasn't passed through a difficult moment in life, and the ability to push through and remain resolute during that difficult period determines how strong a person is. The obvious truth is that tough time never lasts, but tough people do. What happened to Chief Olisameto in the past years in the classic example of how unpredictable life is? I just want to let you know that Chief Olisameto is an Igbo man from Otolu, Newi North in Anambra State. He is a trained lawyer and had an impressive political career. Chief Meto has been the former publicity secretary of the People's Democratic Party and was quite influential during the administration of former President Goodluck Jonathan. Meanwhile, he ran into hot water when the Economic Financial Crime Commission (EFCC) identified his role and that of his company in the Dasuki Gate. Alright, a huge amount of money worth about $2 billion that was meant to procure arms to improve the capacity of the Nigerian armed forces was reportedly to have been used for different purposes. Meanwhile, Colonel Gambo Dasuki, who was in charge of the arms deal, was in detention for years before he was released on compassionate ground, as made known by the Attorney General of the country, Abubakar Malami. Okay, Chief Olisameto was initially sentenced to 7 years imprisonment by Justice Okun Obang, who found him guilty of charges brought against him by the EFCC. He proceeded to seek a redress of the initial judgment used or issued against him by approaching the Court of Appeal. A three-man panel led by Justice Stephen Udeya gave a verdict against the initial judgment on the basis that it was merged. Okay, I beg your pardon. It was merged with basis or baseless accounts. The Court of Appeal ruled that the case be sent back to the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court for assignment. Okay. After months of being away from his home state, he was welcomed by a sizable member of supporters who were out in large numbers with the party flags and the banners to show their support for Chief Olisameto. Meanwhile, the former National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Chief Olisameto, must be happy with the member of the supporters that came out to welcome him back to his home state. Instead, there is no place like home. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to comment and then send in your thoughts in this regard. Can Chief Olisameto relaunch his political career after months of being away in prison?